Welcome back, everyone. At the time of recording, our Rare Air Emerald Coast Volkswagen show is only a couple days away, and I've got so much to do on my Eleanore just to get there, and I'm running out of time. I have just been slowed down by so many people with their own problems this week, but I sure hope that nothing else would come up. Alright, we're up at 6 o'clock this morning trying to get some stuff done on Eleanore because the car show is only 2 days away, and look at this shit I gotta deal with. Oh my god, it hasn't rained in a month. That's right, I mean it rained all damn summer. And then come September, suddenly it's just stopped. And we haven't seen any rain, and my grass actually started to brown up as a result. Whereas before it was so lush and green and growing like crazy, and it just turned brown and just stopped. Anyway, I'm hoping it clears up a little bit. It's actually really nice out here right now, other than this raininess, but oh my god. This is just not what I needed to deal with today. No, I'm just not even going to try to roll Eleanore out of here if it's doing this kind of stuff. Anyway, better today than Saturday, I guess, but I have to deal with the reality that she's probably not going to get as done as I want her to be. I've just had too many delays this week. I've had people taking me off my project and slowing me down. I've had rain, as you've seen. It rained yesterday also. Just good thing is I put her into an in-progress class, and what that means is that she shows up at the show as an unfinished car. So she'll compete with other unfinished cars, and hopefully she'll do better than them. I guess we'll see. Licky likey. Biddy's inside. He hasn't even gone out yet because it's so early. Anyways, licky likey, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to plug the dingle belly, and we'll see you right after the intro. Yeah, that was a whole lot of fun. Drive or drag is my motto this year, and we're going to do the best that I can to get as much done as possible, and that means I had to prioritize my list to cosmetics. Since this is for show, things don't necessarily have to work optimally, but they do need to look good. Miss Eleanore will find herself at the show either way, but now I need to devote more time to working rather than filming, so this video will be a mishmash of everything that I threw together just to get Eleanore to the show. So please licky likey, comment, and subscribe, and we'll get back right after that intro. And we've got that door seal put in. I matched the bottom corners, rolled it all the way around here, and then I cut this corner out because this is the only corner that's not going to match everything else. So I'm going to get a little rubber cement and glue those two pieces together. I'm still fine-tuning it to get it seated. For any of you that ever done these before, you know, they're usually all lumpy-bumpy for a little while until they finally get settled. You probably hear the squeak. That's because the seal is a little bit too tight up in here, and you can see where it's leaving that powdery residue line along that, so I'm going to have to trim the seal just a little bit. It fits fine, it's just it rubs the paint in such a way because this gap up here is really tight. So I'd rather not have that happen because if it catches any dirt or anything, it's going to leave a wear mark, and that's going to be ugly. Over here, I've been working at fine-tuning this door handle because the hole closed up just a little bit because when Earl worked around us with some of the Fibertech filler, it got a little smaller. So the door handle doesn't quite go in there yet. So I'm still working on that one. But we're down to the fine detail stuff now on this car. That way we can get it to the show, and I think keeping the doors closed properly when I'm transporting it would be a really good idea. Let's see what we got. Nope, a little more, but almost. Not quite sure why that's so tight anymore now. It doesn't look like it's Fibertech now. It looks like the hole just shrunk. I may have to grind just a little bit off the handle, which isn't such a bad thing, because once it gets past the point of dropping in there, there's going to be a lot of motion in it. Alright, I think we'll do a little filing to the center here, and I think it's going to fit. Yeah, there it goes. Talk about airtight. Man, that's a snug fit. Yeah, it's a snug fit. It goes in there. That's airtight, man. Hermetically sealed. That's right. Ribbed for her pleasure. Man, that thing, it goes right in there. Anyway, let's try putting the rubber on. Make sure it goes on with the rubber, because that can change clearances. Make sure that seal goes in the right spot. Nope. Man, that didn't make much of a difference either. And how thick's that rubber? Half a millimeter, 3/4 millimeter? Almost nothing. Oh, you know what? We still got this tape on here. Let's take that tape off and see if it makes a difference. I'm almost willing to guarantee, looking at how chewed up this tape is here, that I made a mark in the paint, and yeah, it sure did. I knew that was coming. Good news is that the handle and the rubber will cover that, so you'll never see it. Guess that's a necessary evil. Alright, come on, go in there. Oh, close. Really close. Nope, it's gonna need a little more clearancing. Alright. Meanwhile, we'll put a piece of tape back on there. Just because. But taking that tape off did make a bit of a difference. Alright, we're gonna keep working at this sucker. Alright, did some more filing inside of here. There's the neighbor's dog barking. I was just about to predict that because the garbage truck's coming down the street. Now, I don't know if you can see the difference between these, but you see how this little triangular portion here is more round and bulbous? This one is kind of cut down and a little bit of a taper. That taper made all the difference in the world, because now when I put this rubber seal on here, it will go into that door. So there it is. We now have a door handle. And the question is does it align with the screw holes over here? Since there was a little bit of fill on here and it built it out, I may have to elongate the holes slightly, which will pull together because it is a tapered screw hole. So once I tighten it down, everything will pull in. But if it is off by a little bit, I guess I can tweak it. But nonetheless, this is in here. So let's see what it looks like with the tape off. There's that mark. That bothers me, but again, we're not going to see it. Nobody's going to see it. Only me and Earl and the 85,000 people that watch this video. And the TSA with their X-ray cameras, right? Yeah, that's perfect. That is perfect. Let me show you what we got here. Look at this. Coming from this side. Yeah, mark in the paint. You can't see it. It's buried underneath there, several millimeters deep. And of course, it didn't go all the way through the paint. It just dinged the surface. And that rubber seal's on there good. And there's our screw holes, those two on top. It looks like they line up, actually. Well, the bottom one might be out a little bit, but the top one is in. So I'll run the top one in first and see if it aligns the bottom one. It might. But that's good. Look at that. Excellent. One step in the right direction, guys. That's working. I'm gonna have to dick with the seal a little bit because the door doesn't want to close all the way because it's getting hung up on the seal. Now, obviously, see, she's got a little labia sticking out here. Now, she's a good girl. We don't mind if her labia sticks out a little bit. We're gonna have to do a little cosmetic surgery and just trim it. And that's the reason why that door is getting hung up. All right, well, that seems to work. A nice authoritative sound when it closes. I do have to work on the seal here. Got a little tear in it also, but it sticks out a little bit, so that tear is really not going to matter because we're going to have to trim this. This is why the door's not closing all the way. It's getting hung up on that. So she's got a little bit of a labia that hangs out here, but we don't mind. We don't hate on the girls with the big lips, do we? No, Eleanore, we love you. All right, passenger side looks to be about the same problem. You see, it just, I guess it's hard to show it to you from this angle, but you see, it just doesn't fit. It's too big. What happened is a little bit of the fill and a little bit of the paint and clear actually got in that hole, so I have to file this out down to the metal. So that means we got to get a little blue tape around here, keep the thing safe, and get it filed down. All right, I should get it squared up, and I can feel the paint on, well, all four sides. So, simply get in here. File. All right, let's see what kind of fit we got. Oh, almost. Almost on the first try, but we are still experiencing the length problem here. Looks like there's not hardly any fill on this side, so it's gonna be all here then. These doors are hybrid doors. It's a base from a late model, and this whole section, as well as the upper from the original 56. I couldn't find at the time a good set of early doors. So I grafted early and late together, because you really can't tell the difference anyway unless you look at the inside of the doors. Like the latch in here, for example, is all late model stuff. But yeah, there's like no fill in here. Yeah, almost none at all. That was part of the problem on the other side. There was a lot of fill there. And I'm still not down to metal over here. Well, sounds like it now, actually. Alright, let's try it again. I may have to grind the handle down again the same way. Nope. Yeah, rather than just beat the shit out of everything. We'll do this the same. This little area right in here, you see how it's kind of round and bulbous to that point? So I'll just take this down at a diagonal, just a few degrees, and then that will allow this handle to be slotted in. So once it's in, there'll probably be plenty of space. That's what it looks like. It just has to get in there, and that's the difficult part. There's no pimple sticking up here in the middle like there was on the other side. I had to cut that little groove for that reason. But here I think we're going to be just fine. Alright, in that case, we'll get inside of here and file that one out. I put this in my vise, by the way, and just run it back and forth with the file. Alright, you can see I kind of cut that rounded bit off here, so it's a little bit pointier than it was. We'll put our seal on here. And I've noticed the seal has a bias. I don't think it was deliberately meant that way, but when it was made, it curls a little bit. So I like to put it in so that way it's did I do it right? Yeah, so it's curling away from that point. So when I slot this in, it doesn't try to get smashed up inside of there. You see what I mean? As I'm pushing on this there, it's staying away. So that way I have space in there to put it in without crushing it or getting it lost. And oh, we fit on the first try, but that is snug. Not bad. Okay. See if our holes over here line. You might be off a little bit. I think I can get in there with a file and stretch those holes out a little bit, but we should be okay, I think. Yeah, we're gonna go with that. Oh shit, kid's screaming. See if I can pull this handle back out. Go pull all this tape back off. There we go. Very nice. Works. As you notice, that's from a later model door because that's what I grafted onto here. One clever person at the first car show I put this in noticed that. That would be Sam Collison over in Mississippi. Great guy. Anyway, he was like, "What is this shit?" with his British accent. Alright, well that's good. I don't have the latch on the inside yet, otherwise technically that would work. I still need to put the seal in here too, so I got a little more work ahead of me. But we're getting there. My pile of parts is getting smaller, and that's what I wanted to see, because I got so much crap around the house, it's ridiculous. Alright, this door seal, suckers came in a pair. Whee! Dad bought them for me back in the 90s. And you know, they don't even match. They're a little bit different now that I look at them. The texture and even the color is a little bit different. Now, these are old seals because they're, well, 30 years old at least. And that means I'm not too worried about them shrinking the more I've thought about it. But what I've been doing to install these, because this is a chop top and the door is normally about this high, and I have to cut almost a whole 12 inches out of the seal, is that I start down in the lower corner, because this is the corner that's going to be unaffected. That's it. Just tuck that seal in. This one tucks better than the other one does too. Oh, in fact, this is a very, very much nicer quality seal. Oh, wow. It's actually like a hard seal here. Anyway, I'll come back to that section. Yeah, this is tucking in a whole lot better. And you can see how much has to come out. And actually I've stretched it a little bit, which is kind of a no-no, so press this all back together. This side might actually close and fit better than the driver's side. This is a much, much nicer seal. Now that I know that, I'm going to look at about getting a nicer quality seal set for this. I thought these were going to be just fine. I didn't realize they came so differently. Alright, I got a spudger here in my pocket. Tricky spot in here. This is much tougher too. Like I said, the driver's side tore. This didn't. Even though I'm abusing it a little more. Yeah, I need to bunch this together and not stretch it as I'm installing it. Alright, that's going to be where we cut. It's right about here, but I'm not cutting yet because we're going to push the rest of the ceiling whole way around that door. Hope you guys can still see me. Now I'm working the bottom of it. Oh, this is going in so much better. Hope it stays in better too. Over the top. I'm just tucking this to hold it because I actually need to get it around the back side here. To the back side. Alright, the seal on this side fits a whole lot better. Ain't no labia sticking out. It'll actually allow the door to close. Perfect. That's perfect. I figured if any side we were going to have trouble with would have been the passenger side because the driver's side door fits better than the passenger side door, but the seal on the passenger side fits better than the driver's side seal. So anyway, this is effectively sealed up and ready to go to the car show. Man, that sounds nice, solid, and assertive. It doesn't rattle. Our gap is good the whole way up and down. This is not aligned though, so I guess I do need to come up a little bit. That's easy enough. I can just raise the striker a bit. It does still squeak up front too, but the seal is just a little bit shorter, so it drags a lot less. Yeah, check that out. You don't have to slam it. I hate it when people slam doors, especially on Volkswagens. Well, I was just going under here to go ahead and fill up my brake fluid and bleed the brakes. In fact, there's my brake fluid right there. And when I looked over to the left, I noticed there's no brake line. It's just not there. I looked over to the right, it's not there either. I don't know where the hell they're at. I have no idea. Oh man, I have some nice stainless ones someplace, and I do remember seeing them. There's a possibility that they may have gone onto Ruby when Eleanor's body was away getting painted at Earl's. I may have used them. I don't know, I'm beside myself. But you know what that does? That actually gives me, while it is a little discouraging, at the same time it relieves me because now I can't drive this to the show as I wanted to, because can't do that without brakes. Pull e-brake handle. I'm having problems with that too. We'll get into that in just a second. But yeah, I'm unable to drive this thing with no brakes, so I guess that's gonna be off limits, so no fluid. I'll put the gas tank back in. It's right there. Get it bolted down solid. Eleanor's gonna go to the show. Well, it'll be drag or drive. It looks like it's gonna be drag. Nonetheless, she's going to get there. Engine still hasn't been bolted in yet. But again, it doesn't matter whether it runs or not. It just needs to look good. So we'll make sure that it gets in. If it doesn't get a test run in time, well, then it doesn't. It'll just be next week without any pressure on me, which is not such a bad thing either. As far as e-brake handle is concerned, there's my e-brake handle. You remember how nasty rusty that thing looked? I wanted to keep it rather than just buy a new one because, look, it's got a Volkswagen logo on it. That's right, it's an OEM, guys. Try to keep original parts whenever you can. But this thing was so crusted, so rusted, so nasty, I just did the old wire brush and then just brushed down some cat piss on it and let it sit. And every time I walked past it while I was working in the yard, I'd just brush it down again. I did that for like a day straight. Probably could have soaked it, but I think I would have wasted a lot more acid by doing that because, well, you got to put it in a container and submerge it versus just a few capfuls to brush it on. Anyway, it looks good. It looks really good. So we're gonna paint this sucker up, and it's going in Eleanore because she needs one. It doesn't seem to fit right. When I get in here and I put this thing in, cables are just way too short. It's bizarre, but when I look at the handle versus the other handle, nice, get hung up on everything here. Look at this handle versus that handle. You see this part here where the cable rolls up inside of this when you pull the handle up? This has a much deeper depth where it goes further into the tunnel than this one does. So there's definitely something different here. So this handle is probably wrong for this chassis. So this handle might be the correct one, which means I need to de-rust it and make it look every bit as good as this one did. So I got a little work ahead of me for that one too. Man, just wanted to get this car together. It looks like it's just not gonna happen the way I want it to. It doesn't mean it's not gonna happen at all, it's just not gonna happen the way I want it to. All right, well, anyway. I guess what we're gonna do, I'm working on the tail light, license plate light, I should say. Guess we're just gonna bolt on whatever's left, get together the windows and things. The side windows, I haven't cut any glass for that, but I do have the templated sections that I can stick in there. Door glass isn't even touched. And windshield, well, maybe if I find time tomorrow, I'll cut a piece of glass. It's gonna be an experiment. And if it fails, it'll make for a good video, right guys? Hey, Miss Eleanore just got her nipples. Look at that. Those seals were a bitch to get installed on there. Earl couldn't even pull it off. He and I had a little fight in the shop. Not with each other, but with the seals, trying to get them put on. And I said, I'll figure it out later. And the answer was, take the seal and stretch the ever-loving snot out of it with both my hands behind my head, pulling as hard as I can. And then the seal was barely big enough to fit. But now once everything's bolted down, it should stay. I don't see any reason why it should pop out. And being out in the sun, it should stretch and relax a little bit. I guess we'll see. It might shrink. Anyway, beautiful girl. She's getting her shape. More bolts gotta go in. Today's plan, fender bolts, body bolts, engine bolts. I don't think the engine's gonna be running today. It looks to me like I'm just out of time. I'm just not gonna be able to get around to it. So the engine's gonna get stuffed in the friggin' car, and then we're gonna test run it next week. So that's gonna be on my agenda of things to do. Sadly, it's not gonna be running to be able to drive to the show, but well, you know, sometimes it just doesn't always work out the way you want things to. So I'm just gonna have to deal with it. That's life. Living in the city, as I like to say. Anyways, yep. Good old Eleanore. Working on the tail light. Well, license plate light. That's why there's tape on there, so I didn't beat it up. Here's the engine compartment. Everything's looking good. The high pack holes also turned out great. A lot of people are buying these Hookies high packs. Links down below in the video description. I talked to Steve over there and let him know that I sent a lot of people his way. So he's been closing up a lot of sales. I hope things are working out for him. Anyway, let's go ahead and keep making some progress here as things are coming along. And I'm not going to be showing so much of the hands-on, rather I'm just going to show you summaries when things are coming together because, you know, turning fender bolts is really kind of boring. You guys have already seen me showing the fender install method. There's really not too much to that, so let's just get things tight. Let's get this car assembled because tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., she rolls out of here. Drag or drive, she's out of here. All right, we got fender bead installed. You wouldn't believe how many people in my fender mounting video were saying, oh, you're not going to run any fender bead, huh? I was just test fitting them, guys. Fender bead's now installed. I chose to install it on the driver's side, for you here in America. Left side for those of you that are metric sexuals over there in the UK. This side, and Earl will tell you, this front end that I used that was a donor had been hit, and this side was kind of rumpled and wrinkled, and this was the hardest fender to fit properly, and it looks like Earl did a fantastic job adjusting this thing, because that fender went on there pretty well. But I chose to attack this one first because it looked like I only had half as many fender bolts as I needed to mount these fenders, so I was gonna, you know, go every other hole kind of thing just to get them mounted. But it turned out that after I counted the bolts, that I had 2 extra bolts and about 3 or 4 extra wavy washers, so I don't know where all the extra bolts came from. I thought I was short some. Needless to say, this Fender got all of its bolts, and I was going to do that to this one anyway because, like I said, this was the problem Fender, and I mean, it fit beautifully. I'm going to jump over here to this side. Hopefully everything will be just as well. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. Those nipples sure look good sticking out of there. Look at the titty turn signals. Oh, I love them. There's no bulbs in them currently, but we'll get to that later. I don't know what I'm doing there yet. Could be some kind of fancy LEDs or some other stuff, but again, we'll get that far when we get that far. I did get the badges put back on there. A little hard to read because they are OEMs and they were, well, submerged under seawater for several days during Hurricane Ivan and then left out to rot. So needless to say, they're not in the best shape. And yes, the Made in West Germany tag that you see down there in the bottom is crooked, and that's how it came from the factory. So I'm not changing that. So if everybody wants to bitch about it, you can send your complaints to DevNull because I'm not listening. All right, well, we're gonna hop onto this Fender now and see what happens. The Fender's not even tight. This was, again, I just put them on there so we could get a video and see what they look like. Anyway, that Fender went on good there. There are some imperfections in this one, more so than the other side, but it's one of those situations that if I don't point them out, you're gonna probably never notice them. In fact, even if I still point them out, you'll probably not notice them. So we're gonna go with that as is, but we gotta get around the back here. The big question is today is, am I gonna get this engine in here? Because this is the biggest problem of today. We know clearly it's not gonna get running, but it needs to at least go in the car because I've got about 4 hours left today before we start our pre-show event. So that engine needs to go in, I need to stuff the rear fenders on, and then I need to run around and just put the body bolts in, because that's as far as we're gonna get on this car before the show. So that's where I'm at. All right, well, I guess I'm pulling those carburetors off, taking off the breastplate, and attempting to jam that engine into place. I also need to find that seal and stuff that in there first. Oh boy, always something, right? Wonder where that's at. No, it's not gonna hit the body. For you people that want to comment, nowhere's near the body. Alright, well, that engine's going in. So far, pretty good. I'm glad I didn't bolt down the body yet, because I lifted the body and slipped the engine on there and put the body back down. Should have videoed it, but anyway, it was really quick. Very simple process. Much easier than jacking the car way up in the air. Meanwhile, a Maserati showed up in the neighborhood. That's not something you typically see around in the area. No, not at all. Anyway, getting back to work here. Let's see if we can put this thing in. Alright, we ran into our first growing pain. Or shrinking pain, if you will. The deck lid spring hits the back of the shroud, not the top of the shroud, the back of the shroud. The reason for that is because the engine compartment got smaller when I roof chopped it, so it came down a couple inches from where it used to be. So this no longer fits. We're gonna have to come up with a better solution. But that was stopping the engine from going in because I couldn't push it in. It would just push the shroud, you know, back towards me. So, pain in the ass. Anyway, keep pushing, okay. We're almost there. Up in there you can see that's the little hook that the deck lid spring would ordinarily catch in. What I think I can do is put the spring on top of it, which would raise it up about 1 inch, and I think that might give me enough clearance on top of the air shroud. That's one of those things I'm gonna have to look at, but I think that will probably do it. Growing pains number 2, to get to that top engine bolt. I can't reach it anymore. The engine compartment shrunk, and as a result, I can't get my hand in there, but we have these high packs, and I never thought of that would be a convenience factor from it, but reaching in through the hole on the side here, I'm trying to lower you guys down so you can see, because you can probably even see the bolt. I actually reach it through here. So that is actually easier than it used to be. So I am incredibly glad that I cut them out. Oh, Duckman, why would you cut holes in the side of your engine compartment? That's the dumbest thing I think I've ever seen. Well, This is the reason why. There it is. Not bolted in yet, but when it bolts in, it should sit up there. But let me show you what we got. Well, looky, looky. I can actually get to the bolts and all the adjustment screws on the side of the carburetor. I could even get to the spark plugs down there. And the one on this side even. Check that out, look. Can't do that on just about anybody else's car, but you can on the Duckman's Eleanore with 3 E's. All right, well, let's go ahead and wind them bolts on there and get this thing tight. We did have a little concern if that deck lid was gonna clear those air cleaners. And even with all the rain gutters and everything on the inside of it, it's not gonna clear the camera though without me leaning back a little bit. Boop, clears just fine. There's actually room to spare. Looking in from this side up here, there's actually several inches, so it's fine. It's fine, even I could put taller stacks on there and it'd still be fine. So I didn't have to get a different set of air cleaners after all. Just another set of replacements of exactly what I got. Alright, I think my color choice was bang on. Look at that. Both those carburetors are cleaning just fine. I should say both of those carburetor air cleaners are clearing just fine. But the problem that we do have is the linkage on both ends, those arms that stick out. And you can probably tell just by looking at it there, it actually hits the inside of the deck lid. But I think if I shorten the arms down on either end, they actually thread. Or even if I have to, I'll cut one of the ends off and re-tap it. I could make that fit, so I'm really not too concerned about that. There's a lot I can play with right there on that one. But we did run into a bigger issue. One of the bigger issues is those manifolds are just coming into contact with the firewall area on the inside here. There's little shelves on the sides. This side is not as bad as the other side. The other side actually had to peen it a little bit with a hammer just to make it clear. You can see the little peen marks around the area there. Not too proud of that, but that was the only way I was going to get this engine put together. Oh my god. The cripple bus sure is loud. Anyways, yeah, we got that sucker in there, but today it's going to be for show and not for go. I'm going to have to pull this thing back out anyway because I've got clearancing issues, so it was just wise to slap that engine in as quickly as possible. Also, if you look real closely, and it's going to be hard to notice, that engine's not off as that engine is not centered. It's actually off to the left just a little bit. And the reason for that is, I think, has to do with the way the manifolds are kind of touching the inside of those engine compartment walls, and it's kind of caused the body to settle in a wonky position. Now I can't lift the body up to shimmy it around, so I'm just going to lock the bolts down where they're at, again, just for show, and we're going to just present it as it looks, and I think it looks great. I'm just going to throw a belt on there, and I'm not even going to hook up any wires or anything like that, again, just for show. Quite happy with this. Now I'll just go ahead and throw some fenders on, and try to get a couple bolts in the body, and we're going to call it a day. We got all 4 fenders on with the Bead. They were a fight. Every single one of them, except for the one that was expected to be hard, were difficult. Some of the holes in the fenders were just not drilled properly. It wasn't Earl's fault, not my fault. Actually, my dad did that. And those fenders are marked where they should be, but if the hole just goes a little bit off center, then things are really, really difficult to get lined up properly. Looks like that bead's not seated properly in here either. I'm gonna have to play with that. Not a big deal, just loosen the bolt and push it in. All right, otherwise those look good. We got everything together. Right now I'm messing with the license light, trying to get that attached. I think that might be the last body component, and after that I'm just gonna run along the bottom and just run some bolts in, just to get the thing mounted safely, so that way the body doesn't come flying off when going down the road with this car tomorrow morning. And there she is. She's almost whole. As whole as she's gonna be, I suppose. It's amazing how fast these shows sneak up on you. Unless you've done one of these yourself, nobody will ever appreciate just how much work went into that. Oh my god, that seal needed all kinds of stretching and fighting with. I needed a third and a fourth hand and a third dick, and I mean, it was just quite a fight to get that thing together on there. But there she is, coming along. One less thing I need to worry about. one more thing for the car show. Looks like it's still out a little bit. Yeah, that's not bad actually. I'll put another piece of tape in there and I'll just push the seal under with a screwdriver. It'd probably be just fine. Alright, there it is. Wow. Taillights are not going to happen today. I'm missing parts, so no taillights. Alright, it's late. It's dark out here. I'm tired. I'm turning bolts on this thing a lot later than I expected to. I missed the little pre-show cruise that we had tonight. It was at around 5 o'clock, and once around 7 o'clock came on, I knew I missed dinner and everything with the guys. I'm a little upset about that, but I had to get it done. I don't think I'm going to have this video up, chances are, this weekend. I don't have probably any time to upload this thing. I'm going to head over to the Five Flag Speedway where everybody is at right now having the pre-show party. Probably have a couple drinks, something to eat, and then I'll come back home here and crash hard, because I think I'll be up around 5 a.m. to get Eleanore back out of the garage in the morning. So for those of you that click like on this video, I really appreciate it. The last week has just been really hard, and this weekend is going to be even more difficult. Another early morning ahead, and at least one more late night, because we're going to have the after party too, and you know, damn it, I'm going to be enjoying that one. So thanks everyone for watching, and again, licky, likey, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow at the car show. And chances are, whenever you're watching this video, I will probably have it uploaded the day after this one goes up, so don't hold me to it, but I'll try. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.